In the Sun Kingdom, only the strong survive. If you have a wolf, you are a warrior. If you don't, you are nothing. My name is Kaia. I am 20 years old and I am nothing. I work in the dark tunnels under the great arena. I scrub the blood off the swords. I polish the armor until my fingers bleed. I have never shifted. To the Alpha King and his nobles, I am just a wolfless slave. Useful for cleaning and nothing else. Move it, girl, the head guard shouted at me. The master wants wine in the royal box. Now. I froze. The royal box? Slaves like me were never allowed up there. It was too close to the alphas. Too close to the power. But sir, I whispered, keeping my head down. I'm not supposed to be seen. Do as you are told, he growled. He shoved a heavy golden pitcher into my hands. The champion is fighting today. The master is thirsty. Go. My hands shook as I took the pitcher. I walked up the long stone stairs towards the bright sunlight. Towards my doom. I stepped into the royal box. It smelled of roasted meat and expensive spices. The arena master sat on a velvet throne, laughing with his friends. But below us, in the sand, stood the champion. Valerius, the golden wolf. He was massive. He stood 7 feet tall, his skin bronzed by the sun. He wore nothing but leather armor on his legs and a red cape that flowed in the wind. He had just defeated 3 wolves at once. He didn't look tired. He looked bored. I stared at him. I couldn't help it. He was the most beautiful and terrifying thing I had ever seen. Wine. The arena master snapped his fingers without looking at me. I rushed forward. My heart was pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. Just pour the wine and leave, I told myself. I leaned over to fill his cup. But then, the master shifted. His elbow hit my arm. The pitcher slipped. Dark red wine splashed everywhere. It soaked the master's white silk robe. It pooled on his expensive boots. The laughter stopped instantly. The entire box went dead silent. I dropped to my knees. Master. I am so sorry. Please, I will clean it. The master stood up slowly. He looked down at his ruined robe. Then he looked at me. His eyes weren't angry. They were cruel. You clumsy little rat, he sneered. He looked over the edge of the balcony, down into the sandy arena where Valerius was waiting. The champion looks bored, the master said. He hasn't had a real kill today. Maybe we should give him a snack. No. I begged. Please, master. Beat me. Starve me. But please. He didn't listen. He nodded to the guards. 2 massive men grabbed my arms. They dragged me to the edge of the balcony. Fly, little bird, the master laughed. They threw me. I hit the hot sand hard. The air was knocked out of my lungs. I coughed, tasting dust and blood. I looked up. The walls of the arena were too high to climb. The crowd was screaming, chanting one name. Valerius. 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 I turned around. At the other end of the arena he was there. The golden wolf. He turned his head slowly. His eyes locked onto me. He didn't have a sword. He didn't need one. He was a weapon all by himself. He started to walk towards me. I scrambled backward, but my back hit the stone wall. I was trapped. Please, I whispered, tears running down my face. I don't want to die. He didn't stop. He was 10 feet away. 5 feet. He loomed over me, blocking out the sun. I squeezed my eyes shut, waiting for his teeth to tear into my throat. But the pain never came. Instead, I smelled something. Not blood. Not dust. Rain. Pine trees. And home. A rough, warm hand touched my cheek. I opened my eyes. Valerius was on his knees. The giant gladiator was kneeling in the dirt in front of me. His eyes were glowing bright gold. He looked at me like I was the only person in the world. Who? His voice was a deep rumble that shook my bones. Who dared to throw my mate into the dirt? The entire arena went deadly silent. 10,000 people held their breath. The wind whistled through the stone arches. Valerius was still on his knees in the dirt, his massive hand covering my small one. His skin was burning hot against mine. I was shaking so hard my teeth clattered. I stared at him, unable to speak. Mate, he whispered again, his voice like crushed gravel. You are safe now. Suddenly, a screeching voice broke the silence. What is this? The arena master screamed from the royal box. Valerius, what are you doing? Kill her. Valerius stood up slowly. He rose to his full height, towering over me like a mountain. He didn't look at the master. He stepped in front of me, blocking me from the world with his broad back. He was my shield. Did you hear me, dog? The master yelled, his face turning purple with rage. She is a slave. She is damaged goods. I ordered you to kill her. Valerius finally looked up. He turned his head toward the balcony. His golden eyes were gone. Now they were pitch black. Pure alpha fury. The air around us grew heavy, crackling with electricity. Even the crowd flinched. Valerius didn't shout. He didn't have to. His voice boomed across the arena, loud enough for the king himself to hear. She is not a slave, Valerius growled. She is my Luna. And if anyone... He paused, his gaze locking onto the master. If anyone touches a hair on her head, I will paint this sand with their blood. The master stumbled back, falling into his throne. He knew Valerius wasn't just a gladiator. He was the strongest wolf in the kingdom. Even the guards looked terrified. No one moved. No one dared to challenge the golden wolf when his mate was in danger. Valerius turned back to me. His face softened instantly. Can you walk, little one? He asked gently. I tried to stand, but my legs gave out. The fall had hurt my ankle. Before I could hit the ground, he caught me. He swept me up into his arms as if I weighed nothing. I gasped, instinctively wrapping my arms around his thick neck. He held me tight against his chest. I could hear his heart beating. Slow, steady, powerful. He turned his back on the master. He turned his back on the king. He walked toward the dark exit gate, carrying me out of the sun and into the shadows. For the first time in my life, I wasn't a slave. I was his. The cheering crowd faded away as Valerius carried me deeper into the tunnels. It was cool and dark here. Torches flickered on the stone walls, casting long shadows. I rested my head against his chest, listening to the heavy thud of his boots. I was still shaking. Part of me was terrified. He was a killer, a gladiator. But another part of me felt safe for the first time in my life. He kicked open a heavy wooden door and walked into a large room. It wasn't a dungeon. It was a warrior's room. There were weapons on the walls, but the floor was covered in thick, soft furs. He walked to the bed and set me down gently as if I were made of glass. I pulled my knees to my chest, trying to make myself small. Please, Lord, I whispered, looking at the floor. I will clean your armor. I will scrub the floors. Just, please don't hurt me. Valerius stopped moving. He let out a low, frustrated growl. I flinched, closing my eyes. But he didn't hit me. Instead, the mattress dipped as he sat down next to me. Look at me, Kaia, he commanded. His voice was deep and rough, but not angry. Slowly I lifted my chin. He wasn't looking at me like a master looks at a slave. He was looking at me like a starving man looks at a feast. He reached out and took my injured foot in his large hand. I gasped, trying to pull away, but his grip was firm. You are hurt, he said simply. He inspected my swollen ankle, his fingers tracing the skin with surprising gentleness. Why? I asked, my voice trembling. I am Wolfless. I am nothing. Why did you save me? Valerius looked up, his golden eyes locking onto mine. You are not nothing, he said fiercely. You are the other half of my soul. The moon goddess kept you hidden until today. He leaned in closer, his breath fanning against my cheek. In the arena, I am the champion. But in this room, you are the queen. And I am your servant. Before I could answer him, a loud boom shook the heavy wooden door. Someone was pounding on it from the outside. Open up, a voice shouted. By order of the arena master. I gasped, shrinking back against the furs. The fear came rushing back instantly. They were coming for me. Valerius stood up slowly. The gentle look in his eyes vanished. The predator was back. He didn't look at the door. He walked over to the wall and grabbed his heavy broadsword. The door burst open with a crash. 3 armored guards marched into the room, their hands on their weapons. Behind them stood the head guard, looking smug. "The master wants his slave back," the guard spat. "You had your fun, champion. But she is property of the arena. Hand her over." Valerius didn't move. He stood between me and the door, his muscles coiled like a snake ready to strike. "She is not property," he said, his voice calm and deadly. "She's my mate. And if you take one more step, you will lose your head." The guards hesitated. They looked at the massive sword in Valerius's hand, then at each other. No one wanted to fight the god of death. But the head guard stepped forward, sneering. "You know the laws, Valerius. A slave cannot be a mate unless she is bought. Or, unless she is won." Valerius's eyes narrowed. He knew what was coming. "The master challenges you," the guard announced, pulling a scroll from his belt. "A death match. Tomorrow at noon. If you win, you keep the girl and your freedom. If you lose, you die and she goes to the kennels." I covered my mouth to stop a scream. "A death match? Against who?" Valerius didn't blink. He looked back at me for a split second, his gaze burning with a promise. Then he looked at the guard. "Tell the master to prepare his grave," Valerius growled. "I accept." The guards left, slamming the heavy door behind them. The lock clicked shut with a sound like a gunshot. Silence filled the room again, but this time it felt heavy. I looked at Valerius. He wasn't looking at me. He walked over to the fireplace and sat on a wooden stool. He pulled a whetstone from his belt and began to sharpen his massive sword. The sound echoed in the quiet room. I couldn't take it anymore. I ran to him and fell to my knees beside his stool. "You can't do this," I cried, grabbing his arm. "Valerius, please. They will kill you. The master will send his beasts. He will cheat. You cannot win." Valerius stopped sharpening. He looked down at me, his face calm and unreadable. "I have fought in this arena for 5 years, Kaia. I have killed 100 men and 1,000 beasts. I have never lost. But this is different." I sobbed. "If you die, I don't want to live. I would rather go back to the tunnels than watch you die for me." Valerius dropped the stone. He reached out and cupped my face with both hands, wiping away my tears with his rough thumbs. "Listen to me," he said softly. "All those years I fought because I had no choice. I fought because I was a slave to the bloodlust. I didn't care if I lived or died." He leaned his forehead against mine. I could feel his heat radiating through me. "But tomorrow," he whispered. "Tomorrow is different. For the first time in my life, I have a reason to live. I have a reason to win. And I will burn this entire kingdom to the ground before I let them take you from me." He kissed my forehead, a promise sealed in silence. "Sleep now, little one. Tomorrow you will see a monster. But tonight, I am just your man." The sun was high and hot. The arena was packed. 20,000 people screamed for blood. I stood in the royal box, my hands chained to the railing. The master wanted me to watch. He wanted to break me. Below, the iron gate creaked open. Valerius stepped out onto the sand. He wore no armor today, only his leather kilt and his sword. He looked up at me. He didn't smile. He gave me a single nod. A promise. Then the opposite gate opened. The crowd went silent. Out walked not a man, but a beast. A massive, corrupted wolf standing on 2 legs. It was 7 feet tall, its fur matted with dried blood, its eyes glowing red with madness. A feral. "Behold," the master shouted, "the beast of the north. Let the slaughter begin." The feral roared and charged. It moved faster than any wolf I had ever seen. Valerius barely raised his sword in time. Clang. The beast's claws slammed against the steel, sending sparks flying. Valerius was thrown back, his feet skidding in the sand. The crowd gasped. The champion was losing. The beast didn't stop. It swiped again, its claws tearing a deep gash across Valerius's chest. Bright red blood splashed onto the yellow sand. "No!" I screamed, pulling at my chains. "Valerius, get up!" Valerius fell to one knee. The beast loomed over him, its jaws snapping, ready to rip out his throat. The master laughed beside me. "Say goodbye to your hero, girl." But then, Valerius looked up. His eyes weren't just gold. They were burning like the sun. He didn't look at the beast. He looked at me. And in that moment I saw it. He wasn't losing. He was waiting. For her, he roared. He didn't block the next attack. He dropped his sword. He caught the beast's massive paws with his bare hands. Muscles bulging, veins popping, he held the monster back. With a primal scream that shook the arena walls, Valerius twisted. Thank you for listening to part 1 of the Champion's Prize. That was a massive cliffhanger, wasn't it? If you enjoyed this story and want to see what happens next, please hit that like button. It really helps the channel grow. I have a question for you. Do you think the Arena Master will give up, or will he try to steal Kaia back? Let me know your theory in the comments below. Make sure to subscribe and turn on the notification bell. You do not want to miss the final battle in part 2. See you in the next episode.